Yo, what's good, everybody? RJ Sheldon here, Off the Top Show, episode 87. You already know what we do on here. We talk about sports. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. Obviously, we talk about the NFC North here in the NFL on this end. So let's go ahead and see what this past week was talking about. Obviously, Chicago Bears went ahead and head to the New Orleans Saints. Unfortunately, they lost that one 24-17. Tyson Bagent was 18 of 30 from the field. 222 yards passing, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Obviously, we all know at the quarterback position, we do not want to be the ones turning the football over. Granted, if you did watch this game, he was making good plays in the first half, second half, mainly the whole game. But obviously, timely missed throws and the triple coverage. There was one there. I think he threw in right dead on the 50-yard line, going obviously the Saints' way. But he was making plays as well. There were some on there glimpses where you're like, okay, doing needs to be done, getting the ball obviously to Mooney, to Moore, and obviously their tight end as well, who had 2 touchdowns. But can't have 3 interceptions. Obviously in the NFL, at the quarterback position, you got to go ahead and control everything when it comes to the offensive side, making the right reads, getting guys in position to go ahead and do what they need to do to execute the play. But Freeman had 20 carries for 83 yards. I said Mooney had 5 receptions for 82 yards. And I said also earlier, tight end had 2 touchdowns as well. Drawing a name blank right now on who that is. Kemp, the guy that they signed big this year, 6 receptions for 55 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then for the Saints, man, this is obviously a good win for them to go ahead and keep their playoff hopes alive in their division. So this was obviously a good win for them. But for the Bears, it's tough in this position that you're in. Obviously, everyone coming in, the transactions, basically they are transactions. People that you went ahead and got in the offseason, kind of really not gelling right now. Things that you thought were going to happen up to this point, to where you got everyone, the pieces in place, seeing that it's not coming all together. But 2-7, there's being middle of the season right now, kind of. You're going to have to turn that leaf, kind of maybe even think for the future, but at the same time, be able to go ahead and possibly get over 500. Because obviously in the NFC North right now, it's really up for grabs. But just looking at this right now from a Bears perspective, I don't know what you guys are going to get, from here on out. For my honest opinion, I think probably right now you're already thinking for the future. Granted, you guys are playing the Carolina Panthers this Thursday. That is like a Super Bowl game. That game right there is the future in regards if you're going to go ahead and stay with Justin Fields. Granted, I know he's still hurt. Hopefully he might come back and play. I miss him being out on the field. No disrespect to Tyson. He's been holding his own as well, being thrown into the fire like that. That's a tough task to do, but he's, I think, obtained and does what he needs to do to obviously put his team in a position. Granted, I know he's a rookie, but you see glimpses and he's doing his thing. But again, what is the future going to hold now? Are you already going to look towards draft? Are you going to look towards bringing guys in? Are you going to restructure the team? So there's a lot of questions, obviously, with the Chicago Bears. And I know I'm only saying this in week 9, but 2-7 off the high hopes that you guys had coming into the season is not good. And then obviously we're going to move on over to the Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers were at home facing the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, I know that Matthew Stafford was not playing and he was out. And I know they had a couple guys out, but still, this is a great win for the Packers. Jordan Love, 20-26 from the field, 228 yards passing, 1 touchdown. Finally getting Aaron Jones the ball, 20 carries. This should be the stat line that I see from here all the way towards the end of the season. 20 carries, 73 yards, 1 touchdown. When I see a guy at the caliber, especially at the running back position for Aaron Jones and what he means to the offense for the Green Bay Packers, this is exactly what you want to see out of this guy. This is exactly what you want to see out of LaFleur calling plays. He said he was going to go ahead and let loose, obviously, on Aaron Jones. He did. This should have been, I granted he was hurt, this, that, and the third, but this is what we need to see from here on out. This is really our identity of what we need to. We need to be able to run the football and need to go ahead and use A.J. Dillon at a high rate, regardless if it's catching or running the football. Get AJ in there as well to run downhill. I mean, just looking at the team stats here, we were over 100 yards rushing at 104 yards. Passing, only had 207. But the big thing out of this game, watching the highlights, because where I'm at, obviously I couldn't see it. But we finished in the second half, right? Fourth quarter, I think that's the big thing, especially right now, getting into crunch time. Especially in the season, getting into the playoffs, you got to be able to go ahead and close out in the fourth quarter in the second half. Obviously, the good old saying, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. It's completely true, especially right now when we're getting to the grind, of the NFL season heading into the playoffs. But 10 points or 13 points, excuse me, in the second half to kind of close out. The Rams defense played well, obviously only allowing 3 points. Yes, I said Matthew Stafford was out, but still, this is the NFL. It's plug and play. Yes, I know big name guys come in, like the Kirk Cousins. Obviously, we're going to get to that game, and Joshua Dobbs doing his thing. But football is football. You got to go ahead and line up. You got to go ahead and do what needs to be done from you as a quarterback, wide receiver, offensive lineman. We all have a job. We all have something to obtain. We all have something that we need to do to go ahead and move the ball down the field. Or from a defense perspective, whatever big name is out, you still got to come in and make plays. But back to the Packers. This was a good game. Good W. Yes, they're 3-5, but that's a good win at home. It's going to be another uphill battle to go ahead and even maybe have an opportunity to get into a wild card game to get into the playoffs. But all in all, this was a good game for the Green Bay Packers to get obviously back on track to go ahead and make a push. But I was pleased with what I saw from both ends. Also, a couple players as well that did very well. Obviously, Luke Musgrave, our rookie, that tight end that we got in this draft, had 1 TD. Love the play design there that LaFleur had drew up. And hopefully we can continue to see that. Obviously, Wicks getting in there as well. 4 receptions for 49 yards, Christian Watson had 1 reception for 37. I think he came out injury after trying to go ahead and go up and make a play on a deep ball, which is tough. We definitely need all guys on deck. Dobbs, obviously, 3 for 36. Jalen Reed at 3 for 19. See the balls getting distributed around by Jordan Love. Hopefully we continue to see that. But the big thing is this team here needs to rely on the running game. And I think as all Packer fans, we do know that is our backbone. So we shall see what happens, 3-5, but you never know what can happen in the second half of the season. And then last but not least, I think probably the biggest game that was talked about this past weekend, Minnesota Vikings went in and faced the Atlanta Falcons. Minnesota Vikings won that one 31-28. We all know that Kirk Cousins is out for the remainder of the season. Torn Achilles, which is horrific when it happened. Excuse me, I feel so bad for that guy because I think this was going to be the year that he could have possibly been in that, talk, MVP talk, to be kind of maybe one of those top 5 candidates. He's just playing unreal football, had the most yards, most touchdowns, the highest QB rating, playing very good football. But obviously we all know what we're getting into, or players do, obviously, when they play in the NFL. Injuries are part of it. You hate to see it, but speedy recovery, obviously, for Kirk Cousins. It sucks that had happened. But let's go ahead and get into this game, right? Go ahead, have your rookie come in. Mr. Hall comes in, looked very efficient. Obviously, the first drive, goes ahead and tries to make extra play to go ahead and score. Boom. Concussion, gets smacked. Now he's out the game. So all this game playing and everything that you needed to do, gone, right? Now you got to go ahead and go to your 3rd string quarterback. In the NFL, that is insanely crazy that you have to go to your 3rd QB who just got brought in, I think it was like a week before he played this game. for Joshua Dobbs to go ahead and do what he did in Atlanta, I'm gonna go over these stats and I'm gonna obviously go deeper into his play and his desire to go ahead and lead and win. 20 of 30 from the field, 158 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. And then on top of that, had 7 carries for 66 yards and a touchdown. For this man to come in a situation where the Minnesota Vikings are in right now and perform the way that he did, if I'm a Vikings fan, if it's to where, playoffs, which I do think that is a possibility for this team to get into the playoffs. Defense playing very well. Flores got those guys playing at a high level on that end, making timely plays. In the back end, obviously, we know Hunter, Daniil Hunter, one of the best defensive ends. I think he is leading the NFL in the sacks, creating havoc, obviously, in the backfield. You have your linebackers obviously flowing to the ball, making plays. This is one of those teams that I feel right now, if they go ahead and just play football, and this is a prime example, right? You don't even have your starter quarterback in, you don't even have your backup in, but you go to your third string quarterback to make it very simple. This game, like I said earlier, is not hard to play. You have the athletes to go ahead and go imano. If they win their individual battles, and obviously quarterbacks go ahead and making the right reads, everyone's on the same side. Everyone's as a cohesive unit to go ahead and move forward, to go ahead and score, to get stops. It really doesn't matter who's in there if you want me to keep a spade a spade. Because at the end of the day, if there's 11 guys doing what they need to do to go ahead and put their team in a position to win, I'm not saying anyone can go out there, but obviously the guys that are in the NFL right now that are suited up, that are active, anyone can go off at any moment. And shout out to Joshua Dobbs, man. This was a great game to watch. It was crazy to see him go ahead and make plays and do what he needed to do on a shortly timed notice. But it's going to be sweet to see what he does against the Saints, this coming week. But I think we all know who goes ahead and wins, is the main focus of that, and that was Joshua Dobbs. So it was one of those situations for a Vikings fan, like, damn, I think we're definitely going to probably lose every game from here on out to, oh, wow, we have a dog on our hands. So it's a weird NFC North, man, but just to go, over it as a nutshell, everyone is still chasing to go ahead and get to that number 1 spot. Obviously, we know the Lions are still at the helm of that, but that 2nd to 4th place is a race to go ahead and get into, possible wild card or playoffs. So with that being said, I spoke earlier about the NFC North, and especially with the Chicago Bears. They are playing tomorrow. They do face the Carolina Panthers. I think this is going to be a game that has a lot's riding on it for both teams. If you're the Carolina Panthers, you draft your number 1 quarterback thinking that this is your guy. From the outside looking in, man, you guys going to go ahead and go 1 in 17? Like, what's going on here? Granted, I know it takes a lot of time and a lot of, reps from a quarterback position, but, it's week 10, man. We got to go ahead and figure something out. And Bryce Young, from what I've seen, just glimpses, really hasn't been up to par of what we thought. But at the same time, it is his first year. And what's crazy, me saying this, there's really no excuse. They brought you in to go ahead and do what you needed to do to go ahead and make this offense better. Granted, I know the pieces around him, maybe O-line or everything's getting restructured at a time to where a quarterback comes in, at the wrong time. Maybe they're, rebuilding and things like that, which I think they still are. But at the same time, 1 in 7, I don't think was in anyone's mind when they went ahead and drafted Bryce Young. But it's a struggle right now. Hopefully, Brother Meg can go in and get through that, coaches and everything like that from here on out. I wouldn't ride them out as of right now, but the way it's looking, it looks like it's going to be a long season. If the Carolina Panthers do win this game, I think this will be a huge turning point for them going into the second half of the season. 2 teams that I think are equally, from an offense and defense perspective, match very well to where, this possibly can be a game for these 2 teams. You look at this Thursday game like, oh, God, Carolina Panthers versus Chicago Bears, 1-7, 2-7. Teams, no need to watch it. At the same time, this is still high IQ football. Guys that are the best of the best are playing. But I think if the Carolina Panthers want to go ahead and get back on track, this is a must-win game, even though it's in Chicago. And this is the same thing for the Chicago Bears. You're at home. You need to win this game to go ahead and give yourself some type of opportunity to go ahead and possibly get into the playoffs. Or if you lose this game, then you're going to go ahead and hear, Caleb Williams talk for the rest, the season. Are you guys going to go ahead and, rebuild? You're going to bring in, wide receivers. What are you going to do? So you're just going to have a rinse and repeat of what you just did last year, from bringing guys in. These are the pieces that are going to help, us move forward. So, from my honest opinion, I really think that the Bears are probably going to take this one. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's decided by like a field goal. If there's going to be any type of action in it, I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game. But I do, want to see points being put on the board just due to who I am and the nature of me loving the game on how I like, to watch it. Obviously, points being scored, but we shall see. A lot riding on this game for both of these organizations. So that is all with the NFL piece of that. Kind of want to go ahead and dive into a couple other things as well, just staying in the NFL. There's been a lot of great quarterback play this year. Granted, I mentioned earlier, Kirk Cousins obviously was playing at a high level, 18 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Before he got hurt, had 2,300 yards throwing. Definitely a top guy that was doing his thing. Brock Purdy's of the world doing very well. Tua Tagovailoa having, a passer rating over 106. Brock Purdy, how I just mentioned, at 105. CJ Stroud, who would ever thought that he would turn out the way he would turn out first year? 14 touchdowns, 1 interception. A rookie coming in. As my boy T. Lip would say, he had mentioned this earlier, and this was obviously earlier in the week. Texans have found their guy. And he's going to be, the way he's playing right now and how efficient, he's definitely going to be one of those guys to be in that top 10 or maybe even creep into that top 5 within 2 to 3 years. Making every right decision, distributing the ball all over the place, making the right reads, not going ahead and taking plays, from a positive from a negative standpoint, making them into a positive. Basically, at the end of the day, making the right decisions to go ahead and move the ball forward. That's what CJ Stroud's doing at a young age. And, you can't teach that from a rookie, obviously right now in a league that's very, very talented, to go ahead and do the things that he's doing. So shout out to him. Even though the Broncos are looking like iffy, Wilson's still doing his thing, 14 TDs, 4 interceptions. 16 TDs to 4 interceptions. Lamar Jackson this past weekend had a great game. He's playing well. He's definitely in that MVP talk. Dak Prescott talked a lot of crazy stuff about him in the offseason, playing very well. And those are kind of the guys that I just listed that has kind of over that 100, QB rating and things like that. But those, want to mention those guys and them playing very well at a high level. And that concludes, obviously, the football portion of that. It's Thursday, tomorrow, Bears versus the Panthers play. Let's move on over to the NBA. Today we do have some games on. We have the San Antonio Spurs versus the New York Knicks. That should be a great one there. Obviously, Wembanyama displaying what he can do on a night-to-night basis. Inside out, offense, defense, being able to create his own shot, being able to shoot the basketball, being able to put the ball on the floor, getting to his spots and shooting. Then obviously on the defensive end, him being 7'4", it's going to be pretty hard to go ahead and shoot over him. So, and that team's playing well around him. Pop's got those guys playing well, playing hard. And you can see with Wembanyama that he wants to play and he wants to win. And you like to see that out of a young guy coming in and doing what he's doing for that organization. and kind of giving that spark in the San Antonio Spurs, like they did back in the day when they were winning consistently, which I do believe in a couple years, that's going to be, if he's there, San Antonio Spurs are definitely going to be a good team in the West, within time. But right now, it's really fun watching Wembanyama do what he does on a night-to-night basis, and I'm going to be tuned into that. And obviously, it's the New York Knicks. Julius Randle, man, last time I watched him play, he looked terrific. So hopefully, brother, man, when he comes back home, goes ahead and showcase that, hey, that was just a fluke. And obviously, Brunson, consistent guy, always going to go ahead and make the right plays. He's definitely going to be effective on the offensive end and get into his spot. So I'm going to be excited for that. If you want me to pick a team, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the Knicks at home. I think the Knicks are going to go ahead and regroup and do what needs to be done for them to go ahead and be 4-4. And that one is at 6:30 p.m. That is the first game of the nightcap of the night, and then the nightcap at 9 p.m. Golden State Warriors versus the Denver Nuggets. Both teams playing very well right now. Warriors are 6-2. Denver Nuggets are 7-1. Obviously, Steph Curry coming to Denver to face Jokic. That's definitely going to be an action-packed game there. I'm definitely going to watch that game. Steph Curry is definitely going to do what he needs to do. Klay Thompson to go ahead and will their team to a victory. I definitely expect them to play very well this game. And then obviously Jokic doing what he does, and Murray doing pick and roll, all that good stuff. So there's going to be a lot of action-packed games, obviously, today in the NBA. So tune into that. Those are going to be on ESPN for that, watching NBA and all that good stuff. So short and sweet today. Hope you guys are having a great week. Continue to drink your water, as my boy Lip would say. Continue to strive to push that needle forward to figure out what you want to become in this world. You guys have a blessed day. We'll see you on Friday. Peace out.